I'm Lion Runner 777, and welcome back to Reviews and Revisits. Reviews and Revisits both here on YouTube and on Instagram, reviews underscore and underscore revisits, where I also have written reviews. All right, so we did the major video for you on 2024 films that were underrated. And now we are going to do the individuals, go back and look at some of these movies one on one or one at a time. And so this is the one for Transformers 1. But before we get into it, can you please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell? This really helps me move this channel along. So I really appreciate it if you go ahead and like me up and so forth. Thanks. Is Transformer 1. It seems like no matter how many people said at the time that when it was out that this movie is really it, the numbers never really grew very much. We were hoping that the word of mouth would really push people. People were really uh, for trying to get people out. There were some people doing individuals that had nothing to do with the studio, not related to the studio, using their platform to try to campaign to get people to realize that this is a really good Transformer movie. Everybody went to see all the Michael Bay movies, but then wouldn't go see this one, which is actually respectful and in line with the lore and the ethos of the original Transformers. The art was a little bit different. It threw me at first too. It seemed like kitty art looking at it on TV, but actually when you see the art in the theater watching it, it seems very different. I just think that some of the way it was showed on TV and the clips, it just didn't work that way so much, but it doesn't matter. The story is great. The lore is intact. The ethos is great. Uh, so you definitely want to check out Transformer One. It's definitely worth the watch for a solid lore building story and a good time worth seeing while it's still in theaters. It gives the origin of how the Transformers became the mega not the Decepticons versus Autobots. How they started on their home planet and went from just being non-transforming regular robots to becoming the Transformers and divided into those two different camps. It's really well done. It's a good time. It really fulfills fulfillment if you're a true Transformers fan, and even if you're not, like with what I said in that review for not Godzilla minus one, but for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Even if you don't know the lore of Transformers, I don't really care and haven't seen a lot of Transformers before, you're not a major fan of the IP, you still can just get with this movie as a standalone movie and really enjoy it. So I would check that. So we'll pick up from my review on that point. Good on the screen. It's kind of a lighter, cartoonier animation versus kind of the realistic to life type of animation you might have seen with Miles Morales in that version of Spider-Man. So it is more on the cartoon side, but it does still look really good on the big screen, especially kind of the metallic look of some uh, some of the robotic machines. And but more to the point, the best part about this movie is it's really faithful to the lore of Star Wars and to the sentiment of what Star Wars is all about and has always been about. Of course, I meant Transformers. Always Star Wars on the mind. Its lore has been so destroyed. I was just thinking about that concept at the time. All right. So let's get into that aspect of it. While they changed some of the details of previous Star Wars origins and lore, they keep the spirit of it and they don't fundamentally change the lore. It's still about Omicron. It's still about the original planet that the Transformers are from. And they kind of just jiggle with a little bit the backstory of Optimus or Orion Pax, and they do keep that name. That name has been around. That has always been Optimus Prime's original name. They keep the name of Orion Pax. They keep Megatron's. I didn't remember Megatron's real name. It's like D17 or something like that. Bumblebee is like B27. But he becomes Megatron by acquiring a certain cog of one of the primes. So yeah, Transformers One takes pieces of the lore that have existed within Star. Keep going. Want to go to Star Wars? Got it there. Takes pieces of the lore of Transformer One takes piece of the lore of different parts of Transformers from different time periods and really brings it all together. I mean, like the cogs go back to Generation One. There were damaged cogs in an episode in the original cartoon series. That's G1 Generation One cartoon, and it talked about them not being able to transform, and those got damaged. It expounds on the lore and how those were necessary, but here in Transformer One, we see that it was being kept, that the cogs were being kept from the rest of the masses of the Transformers by a few who were manipulating the entirety of the society. So it kind of sets up this basically the primes were usurped. The original primes were usurped by these fake primes who the primes are kind of like this Mount Olympus in the Transformer world, and they're usurped by basically what is a dictator. You basically get kind of a Marxist communist system being set up, and this is what they're overcoming, and this is what the movie becomes about. And it really creates great lore and uses pieces of already existing lore to allow us to expound the cogs also come up again, I think, in Beast Wars in 2006. So that was always there. Again, like I said, they used the original lore of Megatron, which is D16, and Orion Pax being Optimus Prime's original name, and them becoming uh, the kind of the Transformer wars between the Autobots and the Megatrons that started on Cybertron, and they give us a further backstory of how that came about. I think Megatron and Orion Pax having been best friends before fracturing into these two different factions is new. But again, they're taking existing lore, expanding on it, really making it not just make sense, but have a lore to it that you can get into and give you more to sink your teeth into. So where most remakes or most franchises these days deconstruct what already was and really minimize it into these kind of, I'm not really sure what the word is I want to use here, kind of deleterious ways where they are minimizing it to some minimal way of thinking about it or looking at it. Usually it has something to do with boss girls really did it first, and they take some attributes of the lore and give it to some new people so that they could have always have been the ones who really created it or something, some nonsense like that, something that is reductive. That's the word I'm looking for. They really take the lore and make it very reductive. Here with Transformer One, they really expound upon already existing lore, giving it more flavor and more juices to it, which is really exciting. So now it gives you the opportunity as a fan of this particular type of this particular franchise to really dive into it more. There are definitely discussion groups out there that wanted to get more into it based off of what came out of Transformer One. You'll see Reddits about the T cogs, the transformation cogs, and people really trying to understand it. And it really expounds the lore of the franchise, makes the franchise more interesting, and breathes new life into it. So you should really take an opportunity to see Transformer One if you can. So you can see here all of the places where you can see Transformer One, and it looks like there's several where it's free with your subscription to the service. So like I can check it out again here on Amazon Prime. I also have Sling TV. I don't know why it says free here and subscription for the rest of these. You have to have a subscription for Sling. It's not free. So anyway, but there's only a couple where you have to pay for it on the service, and even then, it's well worth $6. We should support films that do what we want as fans, so we get more of those. So if you don't have one of the services where it comes with your service, then you should go ahead and pay that $6 and give it a watch, because again, we need to support when they do things right. We need to make sure those films are supported so that we get more of that and less of the nonsense. Lion Runner 777 with reviews and revisits. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Really appreciate when you hit those. That helps me to keep this channel going once again. So I appreciate it, and I'm out.